Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kendra and today I'll be doing my April wrap-up. I did not read very many books in April. However, as of the day that I'm filming this, I've read almost as many books that I read in April, so that's a plus for my next wrap-up. So now I'm going to go through all of my stats for April. I read, like I said, 4 books. I read 1,440 pages. I read 4 physical books, 2 of my own books. One was an art copy from a publisher and another one was a finished copy from a publisher. They were all 4 adult books. 3 of them were thrillers and 1 was a historical fiction. And then for the star ratings, I had 1 5-star, 2 4-stars, and 1 3-star. So now I'm going to go through all of the books from my least favorite all the way up to my favorite. So my least favorite book of April was Women 99 by Gary McAllister. This is a historical fiction set in the late 1800s in San Francisco, and you're following a woman named Charlotte. She and her sister are very close, and her parents end up committing her sister to an insane asylum, and she believes that her sister does not belong there, so she decides that she wants to get her out. So she ends up faking her death, and she also then gets committed to the same insane asylum. And while she's there, she's trying to find her sister, and it's not going to be as easy as she thought trying to get out. So this book was just okay. I thought this book was slow in some parts and it dragged a bit. There were a lot of parts about the insane asylum which I really liked, because that's really what I was going into this book, why I wanted to read it. So I did like those parts. But some of the events that happened in the insane asylum were kind of far-fetched and unrealistic. So I didn't really like that, but this was just an okay book. And then also this book is marketed as a historical thriller. There's no thrillery parts in this book whatsoever. So if you read that and you go into this book knowing that, you probably won't like it because it's just not marketed correctly. I would think this is just a standard historical fiction, but this one was just okay for me. The next book that I want to talk about is Too Good to Be True by Carola Lovering, and I gave this book 4 stars. This was me and Nicole from the Girly Girl Bookworms monthly buddy read, and this is a thriller, an adult thriller, and it's about this woman named Sky. She is super rich. She works as an editor, and she has a trust fund, and she lives very, very comfortably. And the only thing that isn't perfect in her life is she's very unlucky at finding love because she suffers from OCD. So she ends up meeting this guy named Burke, and they hit it off, and they end up getting engaged super quickly. And then you find out that Burke is actually married. So this book, you're following 3 different perspectives. You're following Sky, Burke, and then also Burke's current wife, Heather. So I love that. I love following different perspectives in books. This one was so fascinating. I definitely read this one pretty quickly. I thought the twists in this book were really good. I did see one coming, but the final reveal I thought was really good. The only thing I didn't like about this book is that it was wrapped up super nicely. I hate thrillers that are wrapped up super nicely, so it had to be docked a star because of that. However, I really enjoyed this one, and I definitely recommend picking this one up. The next book that I want to talk about is Mother May I by Jocelyn Jackson. I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. This is another adult thriller. This is about a woman named Bree. She sees this woman staring into her window one evening, and her husband try to see who it was. They don't see anyone, and then the next day when she's picking up her daughter from school, she ends up seeing the exact same woman in the parking lot, and then her son ends up vanishing from the same woman, and she ends up leaving a note saying that she must follow these instructions to get her son back. This book was so good. I was very intrigued throughout the whole entire book. I flew through this one. This one had so many good twists and turns throughout the book. I felt like this book definitely kept me on my toes, and I think that's why I really liked this one. And again, this one had that same ending where it's wrapped up perfectly. I hate thrillers like that, so this one had to be docked a star as well because of that. But overall, I really enjoyed this one. I like Jocelyn Jackson's first thriller that she wrote, Never Have I Ever. Loved it. So I definitely will be reading more thrillers from this author. And there's Zoe. Hi, Zoe. And my favorite book of the month was The Perfect Daughter by DJ Palmer. I gave this book 5 stars. This is another adult thriller. And this is about Grace. She comes home one evening from work and she notices that her daughter Penny is not at home. And then the police show up and let her know that her daughter has murdered someone and her fingerprints are on the murder weapon and she's covered in the woman's blood. And Penny ends up getting locked up in the state hospital awaiting her court date because she's being observed for her mental situation. The doctor that is working at the state hospital specializes in DID cases, and they believe that is what Penny has. It's very similar to multiple personality disorder. So she's awaiting her court date while she's in the hospital. So you're just trying to basically figure out if Penny really is the one that murdered this woman. So this book was fantastic. I was so captivated through this whole entire book. I loved how this book dug super deep into DID. I really have never read much about that, so reading it was very fascinating, and the author did so much research and it was very well in depth about that. So I loved that about this. And the final twist of this book, shocked, completely shocked. I loved it. I just love thrillers that totally blow my mind, and this one definitely did. I cannot wait to read more from this author. I haven't read any of his books before, and I will definitely be picking up his backlist. I know I have a couple of them that I've like traded for, I believe, like previously, so I definitely want to pick up those very soon. I know one of them is Saving Megan, and I so want to pick that one up. So loved this book. Highly recommend picking this one up. It was so good. So those are the 4 books that I've read in April. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, and also let me know what you read in April. And until then, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!